All right, hello, hello. Gonna give a second here. I'm starting to go live on Instagram and on YouTube. So that way, those of you who might not be on Instagram, my YouTube channel is going to be having these videos as well. So that will be a place that we can start having some of these lives there. Yeah, the YouTube channel is I'm Emily Carolyn Baker, same as here, so nice and easy to find. Tonight, though, we're going to be talking on a topic that's really off from kind of our general conference talks that we've been doing all week long, somewhat related. If you've been around at all, you have probably heard people talking about the patriarchy, trying to talk about the problems with it, things that need to be fixed. Depending on what your experience has been in these conversations, you might have images come to mind of angry women or people who hate men, trying to figure out what does this look like, what's going on here. Right? We're going to be taking an energetics look at the meaning behind patriarchy and what a lot of these people are talking about. Why is it becoming such a well-known word or term that is used? What is it representing? Why is it a big deal? Why should we pay attention to it? Okay. So for those of you who are new, a lot of what I talk about is the balance between masculine and feminine energies. When I'm talking about masculine and feminine energies, I am not talking about gender or personality per se. Each of us has both masculine and feminine energies within us. We want to balance that. Every type of relationship has its own masculine and feminine there. We tend to, as individuals, lead or be dominant in one energy or the other. And so that's where some of our stereotypes around men and women come up, because they are often similar to these masculine and feminine energies. But just because you're of a certain gender doesn't always mean that you follow the story of the feminine or the masculine, right? In fact, we can bounce back and forth between it, right? In my own healing journey, I've gone through different practices. Sometimes I've had to heal my feminine energy. Other times I've had to heal my masculine energy, right? Because again, it's a description of trying to find that balance, right? The masculine is our hustle, hard work, get it done, action, direction, let's do it, right? The feminine is a lot more of the flowing, the intuitive, the internal, the introspective, the restful, but also creative and fluid and flowing, right? There's this duality between the two. And any system, whether that's an individual, an organization, there's so many ways to talk about masculine and feminine. In fact, right here, you can see it showing up in how I adorn myself, right? Feminine, very creative, kind of fun, random, spontaneous. Masculine, very structured, purposeful. It's my smartwatch, right? So up here. And funny enough, the left hand side of your body is representative traditionally of feminine energy, where actually I have that backwards for you guys. Left is feminine, right is masculine. And that has always been my preference for wearing bracelets and my watch. So this stuff is everywhere, right? You see it in language. A lot of other languages have masculine and feminine words, right? There's that, again, pattern showing up. And so when we're looking at this pattern, it becomes a way for us to start seeing where things get out of balance. Can we find the masculine part? Can we find the feminine component? Are they in wholeness? Are they in woundedness? Are they balanced and working together? Are they kind of out of sync, right? And usually as we get better and better at seeing the masculine and feminine energies, we can start to break down what's going on and understand what's happening. And a big part of the way I do this is with what I've created called the staircase model. If you're not familiar with it or haven't watched one of my videos in the past, the staircase model is basically a visual representation of the relationship between masculine and feminine energy, how they support and move together with one another. Okay. So this is what the base unit looks like. The blue here is the feminine, the tan is the masculine, okay? And they repeat over and over and over And you can see if we zoom out here, it's like a little staircase, expanding and going up and up and up. And so this is the goal. We want the masculine and feminine going through this like intertwined play with each other. That's when they're most balanced. Right? Now, each masculine and feminine energy has within it two traits that show up in what I call masculine leadership and feminine leadership. In masculine leadership, we have action and direction. And this is where we think of like action, we're getting things done, we're making it happen, right? Direction is directing how that action is going to happen, right? Where is this going to occur? Feminine leadership, we tend to think about is just women doing the action and the direction. And we're going to be actually discussing that more in tomorrow's live, where we got off in that of women just kind of trying to take on this masculine energy role instead of learning what is feminine leadership, how to step into it, how to empower it, why it's important. Okay, so we'll be talking about that more tomorrow in the next video. Today's purpose is, though, we just need to understand that there is that action and direction piece. The feminine leadership part is intuition and wisdom. And when I say that, it is very natural that our conditioning, especially in Western society, is to be like, that's not leadership, that is not power, that is not authority, that is not equal in value and importance to traditional masculine leadership. Well, yeah, that's how our societies have been operating. We have not been valuing feminine leadership. But in fact, this is the most critical piece. And one of my favorite think tanks, so to speak, to play with these ideas of masculine and feminine energy is business, because they love to try and make things efficient, try and make things productive, right? Business gives us a really great playground to try and visualize these masculine and feminine energies, learn to see what the imbalances look like, learn to see the importance of them, right? If you'll remember it all, we talked a little bit earlier, feminine energy is creative, right? The feminine energy, that intuition piece, that is being in the flow. That is the creative spark. That is the thing that gives you the idea to start a business in the first place, to know, why am I taking action? What direction needs to happen? Without the intuition piece, would we even be having this conversation? Would I have a smartphone or a laptop that I'm able to share with you these ideas, right? That intuition, that critical spark is key. Right? And we can, when we put it in terms like that, we can start to understand the value of it a little bit better, right? Now, wisdom can be a little bit trickier to understand. Wisdom is basically saying, I have this internal, I often describe it as spiritual, right? All creative energy to me is spiritual in nature. And so even if we're talking about a business idea, or we're talking about personal revelation, that still falls under that intuition category, right? Where it is this spiritual, internal, personal experience that is happening. And when we have that intuition, it leads to our wisdom. Wisdom is saying, hey, I have some direction I've got on where things need to go. And I'm going to share, counsel, advise, give some direction as to what action the masculine should be taking place. So what this looks like is one of these days, I'm going to have all of these printed so that I don't have to draw it all out every time. And you have to pause here and wait for me to write stuff out. But in the meantime, we'll get this done real quick. Okay. Intuition is that initial spark. Wisdom directs the action that needs to happen. That action then gets translated into what are the physical directions that need to take place. And this direction should always lead back to, okay, now we've done something physically in the world, right? The masculine is always working on the physical, external, tangible part of it, where the feminine is the internal, intangible, spiritual side of things, right? And this direction should always be coming back to the feminine saying, hey, we need to check in again and get more clarity and insight on where we should go from here. Okay, and so this is how they kind of weave back and forth. This is what balance looks like between masculine and feminine leadership. We need all four of these components. And the piece where this tends to get off balance is right here, the direction coming back to the intuition. We don't always make this loop back. Instead, we kind of want to go shooting off on our own, okay? This is the natural folly of masculine energy. We sit here and go, we don't really understand or appreciate the internal process that occurred of the idea, the spark, and the wisdom to figure out how to start putting it into action. We just saw, hey, I took this action and this result happened and that was awesome. That's what I want. So I'm going to keep taking this action over and over and over and over and over, hoping that I will keep getting this result over and over and over again. Okay? That creates this natural overproduction of the masculine energy, and it leaves the feminine kind of behind. Right? So instead of this beautiful balance down here of them rolling together, we get one cycle through, and then the masculine starts taking off. Like, we have figured it out. Success. We know the secret, right? This happens particularly with science, right? We've done it. We figured out the basis of everything. Genetics. That is how we work. And then after a little while, what comes along? Oh, never mind. Epigenetics is a thing. And so your environment plays a role. It's not just your genes. We have more control over it than just what we're born with. There's this nuance that exists, right? That's that same pattern plays out over and over. Now, in an ideal, healthy individual or system, we have the balance of the masculine and feminine within ourselves. So even when I'm working with some of my clients, sometimes that's what I'm doing is I'm walking them through this process and we're being like, okay, where are you operating? Where are you getting stuck? Which of these phases are you in right now? How do we map this out? And in fact, for those of you who are a little bit familiar with my work, I'll share something with you really cool, real quick. If you're new, don't worry about it right now. But if you look, this is the same infinity cycle right here. So we have the feminine and we have the masculine here and here. So it matches the same thing of our staircase model right here. Isn't that fun? So you can actually match up the different phases that you're in and how the leadership plays into it. But that's advanced. We're not going into that today. Today, we're just talking about in a healthy system, we've got all four of these going along, right? We just talked a little bit about how the masculine has this tendency to get out of balance and start overproducing. This is how we get into an overstructuring of the masculine, particularly when trauma is involved, because trauma says, I want to be safe. The world is scary. I don't know that I can trust things. I don't know that I can trust this wheel here, right? And a key part of staying in this cycle is having trust. And when we experience trauma and we don't heal it, our trust muscle gets weak really fast, which makes this overstructured masculine even more desirable because it's like, yes, please keep me safe. Until one day it's like, holy crap, I am stuck in this box. It is tight. It is uncomfortable. I do not like it. I feel trapped and stuck and I can't move, right? I love how your mind works. Thank you. You're sweet. But that's what ends up happening, right? And this causes the feminine to be like, this was safe. It does not feel safe anymore. It feels confining. I cannot live like this. And that triggers the feminine to be, we got to find some balance here. Okay. So what has been going on throughout human history largely is instead of this happening smoothly. We get a little bit, and then this starts to happen, and then the feminine tries to pull it off, and then maybe we move a little bit forward, and then this happens again, and the feminine tries to pull it back a little bit, and then this happens, and then it moves up, right? And we go through the cycle, and over time, it just gets worse and worse and worse. And this is why it feels like one step forward, two steps back, because we're spending all this time vertically moving when we're trying to grow and change and progress, instead of just this beautiful wheel that's turning here, right? This is the goal. This is ease. This is how it was meant to be. This, to me, is what the divine system and structure is. This is what, when we heal ourselves and we heal our world, and we learn how to find and operate in this space, that's what we're going to be experiencing, right? In the meantime, we've had lots of practice with this going on, right? The beautiful thing about this, though, is it helps us understand you can't get it wrong. You can't mess it up. There is no building this far that breaks the system, that pulls the masculine and feminine out of relationship. The system cannot be fully broken, right? It can get wounded. Don't get me wrong. We've had a lot of wounding occurring, and that causes a lot of very real hurt and pain and suffering for people, right? I don't want to discredit that. That's not the point of this. The point of this is to recognize that there is an automatic self-correction that occurs, where when this starts acting up too much, it naturally triggers the feminine to step in and help restore balance. And that's a big part of what is occurring right now, okay? Patriarchy, from an energetic perspective, is essentially just this overstructuring of the masculine energy. And what's happening is it's triggering this feminine awakening that is saying, hoo, 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 we have gotten way off track. We are all the way up here. We got to pull this thing back down. We want to find this balance. We want to work back together, right? And from especially a wounded perspective on either side, right? The masculine or the feminine, which again could be men or women. There are women who fall into the masculine category. There are men who will fall into the feminine category, right? We're not necessarily talking about gender here, but the idea is when we have this momentum that has been built up this way, that natural triggering occurs. It's good. We want that. We want to lean into that. That is saying, oh, we need to heal something, right? But when we're operating from that wounded trigger state, we're not going to see it as a good positive thing. We're not going to see it as healing. We're not often even largely aware of what life looks like, how we even exist here. This is all we have known. And so when somebody is doing this, it's as if they are threatening your very way of life, your existence, calling you out, saying you're bad, saying things are wrong. It feels very threatening, right? There's not this understanding, there's not this trust yet about this space. And it's why it's so critical and so valuable for more of us to be in this space. Because when we are in this space, we can start being the example and showing, hey, look, life doesn't have to be so hard. We don't have to spend all this time building things upward. We can have our progress occurring this way, right? Let me show you how. This is how you do it, right? This is what I teach people how to do, to how to stop living your life vertically, which how much effort does that take? How uncomfortable does that get, right? If you are feeling overwhelmed, if you are feeling stressed, if you're feeling burnout, hustle, anxiety, hopelessness, trapped, that is because you are playing in this cycle, not this one. I want to shift your track, right? This is the track. This is where joy, this is where fulfillment comes in. This is where purpose and living and love and all of that exists. Harmony, unity, that balance. We got to return it. Okay? So having this perspective, it becomes easier to understand too, why it's not just women saying like, men is bad and systems are bad and all of this is bad, right? It's saying, hey, we have an imbalance in our masculine energy. It's causing problems for everyone. Here's some of what those problems look like. Here's some of those effects. And those problems are, as I like to describe, it's like having a physical wound on you, right? And when it gets touched, it hurts. And we tend to react to the person who touched us and go, why did you touch me there? Don't do that. That hurts. Don't you know it hurts, right? But it's actually a good thing. That pain is pointing to you the thing that needs to be healed. And that is the key of how we bring this back down and get things back into balance the way we want them moving. Okay? So recognizing why these triggers are happening and why especially women who tend to lead or be dominant in feminine energy are going to be particularly susceptible to this. They're going to be triggered the crap out of it because they've got all these wounds from that feminine energy that's been kind of dragged behind as the masculine has been overproductive, right? And so that is the roadmap to our healing to help guide the masculine back and say, hey, look, I found this spot. It's so much better than our old home. You're going to love it here, right? And the thing is, the masculine is wounded and triggered the crap out of too, because anytime there is imbalance, both sides suffer. Everyone suffers, right? The thing is, it's an internal versus a physical experience. And so it's a lot easier to usually see the physical good things that came from this. And it's looking at like the bad that was down here and saying, I don't want to go back down there, right? This is why the role of the feminine is to identify your wounds, heal them, and then soothe the masculine in his wounds. Help him see the trauma that is there. So it's okay. Got you. You're okay. It's safe. You can trust in me, right? When we go back to basics of masculine and feminine energy, part of the role of divine masculine energy is to create a safe space. In a balanced environment, it is meant to be a safe space for the feminine to blossom and grow and birth anew. Right? When we have the feminine rise take place, which occurs here. So this is where the masculine, right, is creating that safe place for the feminine to birth new, explore new things. This is the feminine rise. And when the feminine rise happens, she takes on the masculine trait, right? So she becomes the one who is protecting and holding space for the masculine, right? Which we see happen over here so that he can now go on this journey of healing. And ultimately they end up together, united again on a whole new plane of existence, right? They've left this previous plane where they were. She took them to new heights, and then they met together on a whole new place, right? That's what we want. So that is a big part of the work. That's what's happening right now. This is why you hear lots of conversation about healing and self-care and even generational healing, right? Because a lot of these patterns happened generations before us and have been kind of passed down as this is the way life is. This is the pattern. This is what happens. And so that's why often when you become somebody who gets triggered and you're like, holy crap, what the heck is going on? This is horrible. I feel horrible. Let's change this, right? That is usually the moment when we start saying, oh, this is not how life is supposed to be. But the people who are still in this space, they're going to be going, this is just how life is. What's the big deal? Like, yeah, it's not perfect, but life's not perfect. And yeah, it sucks, but you're never going to achieve world peace. Like, that's not possible. Yeah, it's not possible as long as there's an imbalance, as long as we continue playing out this pattern. That's why the first thing we got to do before we ever want to have a chance of it is figuring out what this looks like. And the more of us who individually find this space, who spend more and more of our time living here, not only does it start shifting for yourself, your own experience, your own world, your own relationships, but it starts becoming tangible. It starts becoming in the physical, which makes it easier for the rest of those who are here in the masculine space to go, what's going on over there? Why are they happy? What is happening? What is this thing down here? What are you doing? This is how life is supposed to be, right? We see this happening a little bit in business where, it's like, this is the way we do business and it's structured and it's organized and it's very, profit oriented. And then you start having these other businesses that come in and they're like, hey, we want to like care about our employees more and focus on this culture and company things that are happening here, right? They're recognizing some of those feminine traits, connection, community, culture, were lacking from the business environment, right? And so somebody started bringing that into balance, and other people were like, wait, this is increasing your productivity. This is helping you make more profit. Okay, I'm on board now, right? It started speaking, showing up in the external physical world, which is the masculine's language. They love that, right? And when I personify masculine and feminine here, just a small little disclaimer, again, I'm personifying the energy types. I'm not necessarily personifying men and women, right? You can find yourselves in all these different places. And usually throughout your healing journey, you take turns going back and forth between the masculine and feminine roles, right? But that's a piece of it, right? So the more of us who understand this, the more of us who live in this space, the easier it becomes for us to shift things down, because there's more evidence about this. Early on, it is hard to start bringing this down because one, there's not very many people, right? This process moves in waves. I've talked before about the polarity. We talked about it a lot in yesterday's video. So if you didn't watch yesterday's live, go check it out. We talked about general authority versus personal authority and the need for polarity in that. But that's essentially this wave that we notice. And it typically tends to take place over generations, right? And it's this kind of paving the way for the next momentum to move forward. And we typically view it as like change is really slow and nothing ever gets done. Well, that's because we've spent so much time doing this that we're spending all our time doing this, right? But the more each time we get successful at discovering this space, the balance within ourselves, the more self-evident it becomes, the more people awake, right? Or become aware of what is going on. That can be a phrase that gets thrown out there a lot and can sometimes be triggering or bothersome for some people, right? A lot of these words I'm using, awake, patriarchy, right? They're words that can make some people uncomfortable. A big part of that is because oftentimes they are used by people who have had a very wounded experience, and they are looking, craving for language to describe what has happened to them, right? But they're not always aware of how to restore this balance. They just know we're playing up here and things need to shift down, but they're not quite sure how to do that, how to navigate it, what the best way to go about it is. So other people who are not yet having their wounds poked, they will. Happens to all of us. It's just, when is your wave, right? We tend to sit there and go, what is the big deal? Like, calm down, relax. That's not right. It's my whole pendulum thing that we have two different sides. One is the not self, one is the imposter self. The imposter self is always saying, I'm fine, it's fine, don't worry about it, right? And the not self is like, I am not fine, burn it all down, right? And our goal is to find that balance in between, where we have the fire of the warrior, but we also have the flowing water of the healer. And together they can navigate this space, help bring us down, step into that role of soothing the masculine, not adding to the trauma, right? If you use fire in that phase, you're just going to teach the masculine to stay away from you because you are burning him, right? And he's like, I am not down for this. That's when we need the feminine water archetype to come in and soothe, because he's already burning, right? But there are other places where we need the fire to light a spark and show us of like, this is not quite right. We need to dismantle this. We need to clean this up. We need to, like a forest fire, clear out the rot and make room for new growth, right? There is a place for that fire energy, and there's a place for that water healer energy. But when we don't understand which one to use when, we can end up making the process more difficult than it needs to be, which is another one of my favorite things to help people understand. When do you need fire? When do you need water? How do you find that balance between them? And In fact, that is the whole point of my 3-month group coaching program opening up here in about a week. We are spending 3 months all about the rising feminine, right? You're going to understand this and all my different constructs on a very deep and personal level. You're going to know when to use the fire, when to use the water. We're going to practice. We're going to talk about it. You're going to walk out knowing, okay, am I seeing the overstructured masculine? What do I need to be doing? Where am I right now? What is my role? What does this life look like? How can I be living more of this life? Where am I imbalanced? How do I rebalance myself? Where do I see imbalances in my other relationships and in the other systems and structures I'm a part of? How do I utilize these tools? When do I need my fire? When do I need my water, right? That's what we need to understand. This is your toolkit for having the ability to be totally self-regulating, right? So that you can walk around in whatever is going on in the world, right? Pandemic, war, pick your next problem that's going to plague the world. You can stay centered, right? Mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, you have the self-regulation tools. You're not going to be triggered the crap out of. You know how to do your healing. You know how to stay grounded, but it's not just a self-preservation. It is also a universal translator and healing kit that you can then go out into the world and you can connect with other people where we've had this divide coming up. You can have language to start connecting with them and saying, hey, here's a part of what's going on. Here's some things we can do. You've got this beautiful healer's toolkit now that you know when to apply the Band-Aid and when to apply the Neosporin. It works a lot better if you put the Neosporin on before you put the Band-Aid on. Right? We don't want to go those things backwards. That's the type of thing I'm talking about. Both of them are useful tools, but we want to do it in the right order at the right timing. Trying to put Neosporin and a Band-Aid on something that needs stitches, not as useful, right? All of that is what we're going to be learning. You are going to become a rock star in understanding what risen feminine energy is, how to step into it, how to embody it, and how to carry it all out into the world. I'm looking through here and I'm seeing like a couple comments here about when am I writing a book? I need a book coming. And I sit here and I go, yes, I want a book because this knowledge needs to be out in the world as many people can understand it. But a book will only do so much good because a book is just the ideas. It's the knowledge, the information, and it's a place to start. It's important. It's on my list, right? You'll be hearing more about it soon. But the bigger piece of this, the thing that is far more effective is example, people experiencing it, because the only way we actually learn something is through experience, which is another thing I'm going to teach you. I'm going to teach you how you can actually come to really know something, know it in your mind, know it in your heart, know it in your body, know it, right? And that comes through the process of experience. And so, yes, why a book is helpful and Instagram lives and content and things that I put out there are wonderful resources. They do not compare to having an army of individuals, and especially right now, women, right? Because a lot of women are dominant in this feminine energy. So it's very natural there, right? Having an army of women who understand what risen feminine energy is, who understand this healing process, who understand the tools, have the skills and the language to go out and embody it. That is how you create change. That is how you heal a world. That is how you help bring balance back into all the broken parts, right? Because words can only do so much, but experience and relationship, that's where we really get the understanding. And I cannot be in relationship with enough people for this to happen. But what I can do is be in a relationship with a few people who then go out and are in relationship with more people. And those people then go out and are in relationship with more people. And it becomes this ripple effect where it becomes so much more effective, right? That's what we want happening. That's what needs to be occurring. And you might be listening to this and going, She's speaking to me. I know it. I can feel it within me. If you know you are one of those people who is ready for this round, you're feeling it in your soul, you know you're being called, that this is the time, this is the moment. I haven't officially launched my sales page or the program sign up, but there is an application on my website. You can go check it out, fill it out. And that application is one of the things I will be contacting the people who fill it out first, offering them the spots in the program first. So if you are like, yes, this is what I've been looking for, this is what I need, I'm being called to this, this is what I need, I promise you, I know there are people out there who are ready for it, who are waiting, who are looking for that invitation. This is that invitation. Okay, go check out the application. I'll be putting up the official sales page. If you have more questions about the program, the details of it, after you fill out the application, I'll reach out to you. We'll set up a time to talk and I can share more of those details with you. But the application right now is the best place to start because I know there's a lot of you who are going to be wanting to do this. And I want to make sure that I'm able to do it in groups where it's personal enough that we have that relationship experience, because the relationship part is important, right? This 3-month container is meant to be a relationship experience so that you get to have that actual learning on that deep, visceral level taking place. There's a lot of other resources and things I have planning and coming that are on more of those surface level things, the intellectual piece, because that's a starting place, right? And there are some of you who are listening who are like, oh, those are the things I need. Write the book, do the thing. I want all the other stuff, right? That's what's calling to me. I hear you. I see you. It's coming, right? But right now, for those of you who are like, I'm in full body, this is, I know what I need to be doing. Go check out the application. The link is in my Instagram. And always feel free to DM me. I'm happy to share and answer any questions that you have. But hopefully, even if none of those things are speaking to you, this has just been a great experience in helping you understand kind of the crazy that's going on in our world, why it's happening, where it's coming from, and that there's actually a plan and a pattern here, right? That even though we got out of whack from this cycle and we've been spending a lot of time doing this vertical dance, we're always moving forward. That progress is happening and it's a self-correcting system. As much as it seems like surely we are going to snap, there is too much tension here. Not going to happen because that trigger of the feminine will always come back in to help course correct things. And we've got a beautiful, really strong, powerful version going on right now. It's a beautiful time to be alive. It can be scary. It can be hard. It can be soul crushing, like intense work to be doing it. But what a time to be alive. What a time. Every person who is here on the planet right now, I personally believe signed up to say yes. I want to come at this time. I want to be a part of that triggering event of helping pull things down, of helping restore the balance, of leaving a legacy of healing for those people who come after us. Sign me up. You signed up for that. You're here. You might be sitting there listening and going, girl, you have no idea what you're talking about. I am treading water. I can barely survive myself, let alone try and help anyone else, let alone try and heal the world. What are you talking about? This is way too big. It is above me. Surely I cannot do this. I would have said the exact same thing just a few years ago, right? That is the power of this work. It will transform you inside and out. You will find a balance. You will find a new way of being and existing. You don't even know what it is yet. Okay? It's been fun. I've been collecting some reviews, getting them ready for my site and putting up the program. And a bunch of them, I asked the people, like, why did you sign up? What was it about it? What were you looking for? What were you expecting when I've done this program in the past or worked with people privately? And the most common answer is, I'm not really sure why or what I was expecting. I just felt like I had to do this, that it was speaking to me, that I was being called to it. And most of them also say by the end of it, they're like, I couldn't have even begun to imagine what I gained out of this, right? That's what happens because you're here, right? You can't see up here yet. You're down here, right? Once you learn how to use the pattern, you might not have the specifics of what this looks like, but you start learning and trusting that this exists. So even if you can't cognitively know about it yet, inside does. Inside is your compass. It's guiding you forward. It's pulling you. It's saying, hey, psst, there's something up here. We want you to have it. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's waiting for you. And I know you're down here right now and you feel like I can barely keep up. I can barely make ends meet. I am surviving on my own. This first phase right here, this little square right here, where there's just an itty bitty teeny tiny bit of the feminine starting to poke up, it has not become a powerful wave yet, right? It is just barely there. This is the divine departure. That's what I call this stage. This is not when you are walking away from God. This is when God is saying to you, hey, psst, I have something amazing for you. Come, I want to show you, right? And we have to be willing to say, okay, I'll go on the journey, right? God will never force us. I'm never going to drag you into something you're not ready for. I'm going to teach you how to get in touch with your body, how to learn to tap into that intuition so that you can go on your self-guided, unique story. I don't know exactly what all your pit stops are. I don't know exactly how this is going to unfold. It's part of the joy and enthusiasm for me when I'm working with somebody because I know the patterns. I know how to guide you through the patterns. I know how to help you recognize which pattern you're in. I know how to help you move through the patterns, but I don't know the specifics of it. That is always a surprise. That is the beauty of God. Another way that I describe this is if it is a ladder that we are learning to climb instead of stairs. And sometimes it looks a little bit like this. There are rungs at different lengths. Some of them stretch us really far. Some of them, it's like, oh, I got this. Boom, ba-doom, 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 right? Different seasons in our life. But the next rung is always hidden. We can't quite see it. It takes faith. It takes courage. It takes willingness to let go and step out of our comfort zone, to let go of the rung that we're currently holding on, to reach up and grab a new one. But that's where the magic begins to unfold. And unfortunately, we have spent a lot of time in the world teaching people don't climb the ladder. The ladder is not safe. You're going to get hurt. You could fall. It's really dangerous. Don't you dare climb that ladder. Okay? Life has taught us when I try to reach up, I get hurt. Bad things happen. People don't like me. What are some of the other wounded stories? I can't trust myself. I'm not enough. I'm bad, right? Bad things happen to me. I hurt people, right? These are the stories my clients have inside. And it comes from those times when they've tried to step up and grab that next rung and something happened, right? And they didn't know how to process it. They didn't know how to self-regulate it out of their system. So it got stuck in their system and became the new operating system that they were working from, right? So it's very natural to feel like you shouldn't be climbing the ladder, that it's not safe, that you're not ready, that it's too much, that it's a risk, right? To reach up and grab that next thing. When I did one of my big ladder jumps here, I knew like there was something inside me that was literally like tugging on me like a rope, yanking me forward to sign up for this program. I was so resistant, so scared, so uncertain, so like, what the heck am I doing? We do not have the money for this. This is not the right time. How is this going to even work? I'm not really sure what I'm getting into. Like, yeah, it's fun, but this is a lot. This is a really big risk, right? But that tug was so hard and so visceral. My resistance was making me like physically nauseous. I remember the day before I signed up, like being in the kitchen, just like bent over in half because I was like, I have to do this. I can't do this. I have to do this. I can't do this. Right. And the moment I signed up, my body relaxed. And it was like, oh, okay, this is what I need to do. Right? We don't know how to trust our bodies. We don't know how to listen to them. Our minds think they are in control. They think they're the ones running the show. That is not your mind's job. I'm going to teach you what your mind's job is. It's your body, heart's job to guide you where you're supposed to go. That is the intuition and the wisdom, right? The mind is the direction piece, right? Of saying, here's how we're going to do the action. Go and do the action now. But tapping into that intuition, that inner wisdom, that knowing, that's learning to trust your body. When you don't have a good relationship with your body, that becomes hard. When you have an overbalance in your society that tells you even more, you shouldn't trust your body. You should have a negative relationship with it. You should have all these unhealthy expectations of what it should look like and how you should interact with yourself and what sex should be like and all of these things. That's a recipe for a lot of hardship, a lot of suffering, a lot of heartache, right? But you don't have to get stuck in that. There's a very tangible, realistic way to move forward out of this. And it's so fun to get to teach new people this, to see the shift take place in their life, to have them look back and be like, I can't believe I thought that was an okay way to live, when this was an opportunity that was available to me. So I'm inviting you once again. Is that body speaking to you? Is it calling out to you? Right? If it is, head to my website, start filling out the application. You'll be one of the first ones to hear about the available spots once I open up registration. This is going to change your life. It is going to change your children's life. It is going to change their relationship with your marriage. It is going to change your future posterity. And you are 100% capable of being able to do it. How do I know that? Because you're here right now. If you weren't capable and ready for this right now, you would not be listening to this, right? You'd be checking out like, this girl's crazy. I don't know what she's talking about. And you're ready. Okay. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of the night. It's been fabulous to get to chat with you. Check back in tomorrow. We're going to be doing another live throughout the rest of the week as we're prepping up for General Conference. It's going to be awesome. Love you all. You're doing a beautiful job. Remember, you are enough. You're not alone. Thank you for simply being you. Take care.